Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Eldred Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A better life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. It's Wednesday, and it's a beautiful Wednesday here in Atlanta, Georgia. We have a garden and some azaleas and things in the back, and they're all blooming. And it's pretty. It's 50 degrees, a little chilly. I always like to go outside and take a nice deep breath of fresh, clean air and look at all of the flowers blooming, because it just makes your day start out better. All right. So anyway, today we are still talking about the cost of hormone confusion. And the reason why I keep harping on this, because I see how big of a problem this is. And I keep getting patients that come into the office and I'm like, wow, these are all of these high performing women and men. And I see that they're at a place in their life and they're stuck. They want to keep performing at home and at work and in their relationships and in their leadership positions, but they just can't keep doing it at that pace. And they're wondering what is going on with them. And they're so confused. The doctors are confused. And I tell people, I was confused when I finished my residency. I didn't understand hormones like I should. And I found that out when I tried to help my wife when she started having these issues. And I saw what I did didn't work. And she is a high performing woman. She's a doctor. We had 2 kids and hey, she was losing it. And so that's when we discovered all of this, how to test for hormones, how to look at patterns, what's going on. It's not estrogen, it's cortisol. It's not the lack of estrogen, it's the lack of progesterone. So that's what we learned all this. It was really from that. And so now this is 25, 30 years later, and these women are still having the same issues that my wife was having. And now 30 years later, it's just more of these women. Okay. It's more of them because they've been out in the workplace and been going to, college and professional schools. And I will tell you that the doctors who are who are coming to learn, those women are dealing with the same issues and they're trying to help people and they can't help themselves. My wife was a psychiatrist and she said, hey, look, I'm going in trying to help these people who have these emotional ups and downs and I'm having them. So how in the world can I help them? So I know that these same high performing women are having the same, and let me tell you, I'm calling it high performing women. If you're a woman and you are dealing with just life, whether you're a single mom or you're single, whatever. And this is men too. So I just see it more in women, I guess, because I'm originally trained as an OBGYN. But there are all of these women. And again, if you are a homemaker, I saw this one woman, she's doing homeschooling. That is a high performing woman. Okay. So I don't want you to think you have to have a big time job. If you're doing anything and this is very demanding and you're being pulled in all different directions, and sometimes in women they're volunteering too much or they're trying to help too many other people and they need to first help themselves. And that's why when you go on a flight, they say, put the mask on you first, then you help somebody else. And my wife understood that you can't help anybody else. You can't lead anybody else. You can't perform like you want to if you are not helping yourself first. So I want you to see what this is costing you. And that's why I've done 3. I may do another one on it. I'm thinking about doing a series. What does it cost you in your marriage? What does it cost you in your performance at work? What does it cost you in your community? You're not able to provide any help in the community. So anyway, so that's what we're talking about. the cost of hormone confusion. And I can't believe that 25 years after we wrote this book, Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? And the other book, The Stress Connection, that people are still confused and they're getting confusing information. That's the real problem. They're getting it from their physicians. And again, I'm not anti-doctor. I am a doctor. I'm just saying there's a lot of confusion. And since this FDA has lifted the black box warning, it seems like it's become the wild, wild west and anything goes. And so that's what we're trying to prevent. This is a inflection point where women need to understand, women and men, you need to understand the effect that hormones and stress has on you. And so you can identify it, and now you can start doing something about it. So that's enough of my monologue. We're going to go to the slides real quick. All right, the hidden cost of hormone confusion for high-performing women. I'm just going to focus on women right now because I had some cases over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks that just have told me, look, you got to keep talking about this. And again, I told you that one of my problems is I think if I say something once that everybody in the world has heard it. And so I have to get over that. And that repetition is what changes behavior and transforms people. So here we go. I know you came back to me, but we're going to get going. All right. So let's look at it. Let's look at the next slide so we can go through this kind of systematically here. All right. So we're going to go to the next one here. All right. So this is not about symptoms. When I do my TikTok, I list 11 symptoms: chin hair, fibroids, hair loss, mood swings, brain fog. But it's not about the symptoms. This is about what those symptoms cost you in performance. It's about the relationships that you either lose or you miss out on because you have these symptoms and you don't pursue relationships. And this is about your identity. I know when my wife stopped doing psychiatry and she came home for 5 years, she felt like she lost her identity. But now she understands she can have multiple identities and she can transform. You change identities all the time, where you're a student, now you're married, now you're a mother, now you're a grandmother, so it's always these changes. So it's when your hormones are straight, you can focus in on what your true identity is. And it's not what the labels are, but it's what your true identity really is. All right. High performing women are paying a hidden price. They keep functioning at home, but they know they're not providing everything they could at home. They feel guilty that they're not giving the children the attention or their husband the attention, or they can't keep the house clean, or they can't do all these things, but they keep trying. And they keep producing, but underneath their physiology is off and they know it. And they come in and they say it, and then they think it's all these different things. We're going to talk about it. But they know that the symptoms are trying to tell them something, but they feel it. And they are desperate to try and find the answers because they don't want to let their children and their husband and their employers, or if they're entrepreneurs, they don't want to let their business suffer because they're suffering. So what hormone confusion looks like, these are these symptoms that I'm talking about. Fatigue, poor sleep, all right, mood shifts, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and can't go back to sleep. You can't manage your weight anymore. So it's giving you, self-image problems, and you have a loss of resilience. That's the key, is that, and I'll tell you my own story. As an OBGYN, when I was delivering babies, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and going to deliver babies. When I was in my 30s, it was exhilarating. I was excited. I'm doing something. Going to do this C-section. When I got in my 40s, now, when I was in my 30s, I could get 2 hours of sleep and go back to the office and do it all over again. It wasn't a big deal. That's what we did in internship when I was in my 20s and 30s. So, but then when I got in my 40s, that was out. I couldn't do it anymore. It took me 2 weeks to recover if I had to get up in the middle of the night. So you lose your resilience. You don't bounce back. And that's because you're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and your cortisol is off. So you're fatigued, and we'll talk about that. But those are not the real problem. The real problem is what the symptoms cost over time. That's the problem. If you don't focus on this, if you don't try and identify this and correct it, it's going to cause you real problems over time. And it's compounding effect. It's a compounding effect of these issues. So what is the hidden cost? Strained relationships. That is a big one. I've had 2 or 3 podcasts and videos about strained relationships. And these happen at certain times. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But I'll tell you there's certain times where hormones shift. One is postpartum. Women get postpartum depression because of the lack of progesterone. We're going to talk about that. In perimenopause, I'll tell you, even when a woman gets pregnant, her emotions are all over the place. And then after postpartum, emotions are all over the place. In perimenopause, there's another shift. Emotions are all over the place. Even during your reproductive age, okay, if you're having PMS or PCOS, those are progesterone deficiency problems, and those can cause emotional upheaval. So strained relationships, and whenever you whenever you don't feel good, you're going to blame the person who's closest to you. So it's usually your spouse or whoever's closest to you, and it's your children. That's what was going on with my wife, is that she was fussing at the children for no reason. So you get reduced confidence. You're not as confident in any of your decisions, your health decisions, your decisions when you're talking about home. What should we do for dinner? That becomes a big deal. You have stalled performance. You want to move forward in your relationships. You want to move forward in your employment or whatever your business is doing, but you're too tired. You're too moody. You can't focus. You have all this emotional volatility. So you may say the wrong thing to the wrong person, and it destroys an opportunity for you. And then the unnecessary referrals. I get so many people who said they've been to all of these doctors. They've been to the gastroenterologist because they have some, gut issues. They've gone to the endocrinologist because the OBGYN didn't answer their questions. They've gone to the hematologist trying to figure out why they're bleeding or why they're iron deficient. Well, it's because they are lack progesterone. So now the estrogen causes the endometrial lining or the lining of the uterus to grow too much. And so now you have heavy bleeding. You don't need to go to a hematologist. You need to understand your hormones. Okay. So all of these referrals, all of these tests is being done. Then you go to a hematologist, sometimes it's $300 to walk in the door. All right. And all of the medications you've tried and had side effects from, and now that's caused you to miss work. So it's so many costs. And that's what I'm trying to tell people, is that the cost of confusion, of hormone confusion, is enormous. And the cost of clarity, it is minuscule compared to the cost of confusion. I just want you to think about that. All right. So case example, high performing woman came in. This was 2-3 days ago, exhausted, discouraged, and still looking for answers. And she's looking at this podcast. I'm not going to say your name, but she's from a country in North Africa, and she's lived on 3 continents. And she said that she's done so much research. And so she went out trying to find somebody who would do a saliva test on her. All right. So let's show this. So here's what she thought. She thought she may have low iron. She was told, now this is not just what she was thought, what she thought. This is what different doctors had told her. They told her, oh, it's just stress. It's low iron. Your ferritin is low. Even though your hemoglobin is all right, your ferritin is low. So you need some more iron. Well, you're just getting older. This lady was an entrepreneur. She and her husband were entrepreneurs. So she said, oh, you're just getting older. Said, oh, you're just doing too much. That's your problem. That's why you have all of these symptoms. So she was like, no, that's not the answer. She had done her own research. She said she'd done 2 or 3 years of research, and she knew she was supposed to have a saliva test. And that I told her, I said, I am so happy you came in, because that is telling me that it is possible for a woman to demand something and tell the doctor or whoever the healthcare provider is that if you can't provide this for me, I'm going somewhere else. And that's exactly what she did. Okay. She went to multiple doctors. She asked for saliva testing, and she was either dismissed or redirected. And let me tell you, and what happens is that doctors are down on what they're not up on. Okay. So if they're not up on saliva testing, more than likely they're going to discourage it because they're not sure if it's, and I understand, they're not sure if it's valid. They've never heard of it before. Why haven't I heard of it? When I first found out about this, I was like, I just left my residency 5 or 6 years ago. Hey, wouldn't they have taught me this if this was important? And that's what doctors think. Well, I would have been taught this. Somebody would have come by and said this. But let me tell you, big pharma is not into this, so they're not sending reps, saliva testing reps, to the office. They're not putting saliva testing commercials on TV, right? Because this is what it's more money in trying to help you stop the symptom for 24 hours than to actually provide the actual information so that you can eliminate the problem. It's much more profitable for the pharmaceutical industry to have you take a pill every day to get rid of the hot flash instead of you fixing the problem that caused the hot flash. So that's what happens. So you just get dismissed, you get redirected, and the doctor just, if he can't answer your question, he wants to send you somewhere else. And I actually have told doctors, I'm like, look, one of the joys of medicine is being able to answer a question that other people can't answer. That you're a source of knowledge for these patients. So you're missing out on that. Just think, you could answer so many questions if you would incorporate this. And you out there listening, I want you to start doing what this lady is said. Is that if you don't provide this for me, I'm going somewhere else. You vote with your wallet and you vote with your feet. All right. This is the turning point. When women start asking better questions, the old model starts to crack. And let me tell you, 25 years ago, the only reason why I'm doing saliva testing is because a patient walked in the door and asked me about it. So that's how important you are. If you go to the right doctor who's willing to learn and willing to listen, you can change that doctor's practice. So you could talk to one, and I'm not telling you to go in and start arguing with doctors, okay? I'm just saying some doctors will say, wow, that's interesting. Tell me more about it. And I have a course for that. So I'm trying to hit this from all angles, you guys. But I will tell you that you are my marching foot soldiers that are going to create this crack in this old model, okay? It's like marching around the wall 7 times. It will eventually crack. It will eventually crack. All right. So what happened? She finally got tested, and she got tested correctly. Somebody listened and went and got a saliva test, and this is what the surprise was for the doctor. She had low progesterone, key hormonal imbalance that had gone undetected through conventional testing because everybody was doing blood testing, telling it was normal. Low progesterone, and then she had an abnormal cortisol rhythm, a disrupted stress hormone pattern. What happened is, she said in the morning, she's really anxious. And you know what? Her cortisol was really high first thing in the morning, but then it dropped dramatically at noon. So she said, I wake up anxious, and then I have no energy for the rest of the day. And then I wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I'm like, this is the perfect, this is what I see all the time. Now, what the doctor said, wow, he was surprised. He had never heard of testing for cortisol. Now, that's the problem, okay? And that's why you don't get the answers, because this is not something I learned in medical school. This is not something that's in the regular continuing medical education of physicians, because that's primarily supported by the pharmaceutical industry. You have to get outside of the box. I have this learning module for doctors is beyond the white coat. We got to get beyond this white coat. I put this white coat on so you can see that I'm a doctor, but I'm way beyond the white coat, because the white coat is very constraining. It's conventional medicine is very constraining. They don't like for you to think outside the box. All right. So, and then the deeper truth appeared. She did not have 5 separate problems. She had one pattern: low progesterone, disrupted cortisol. I will tell you that 90% of the issues that you're dealing with are due to 2 problems: the wrong testing and looking at the wrong hormones in the wrong place. Okay. And we're replacing hormones that don't need to be replaced. There's this fad about giving pellets, giving estrogen and testosterone to pellets to patients. And those are not the hormones we should be concerned about. We should be concerned about progesterone and cortisol, not estrogen and testosterone. So that is the confusion. And the more people look at the wrong tests, the more confused you're going to get, and the more confusing solutions are going to be provided because they're not identifying the real problem. I don't know how more clearly I can say that. All right. If you look in the wrong place, you're going to get the wrong answer. So again, you don't have many problems. You have a pattern that is repeatable. I see it. I'm telling you, I don't know the last time I've seen a normal saliva test in my office, because most of the time, by the time you come to me, you've been to all of those referrals. You paid hundreds or thousands of dollars on supplements. You've gone and had weight or gym memberships that you ended up didn't using because you didn't lose weight. And so you have all of these problems, but really it just comes down to correcting two things: test right, and then you replace the correct hormones. So these are the two most common drivers, no doubt about it: progesterone imbalance and cortisol rhythm disruption. So, Rebel, I don't know if we have any questions yet, but I'm trying to see if this gets across how much, if you just look back, if some of these women look back and just think about how much it has cost them, do they see themselves in what I'm talking about? So I don't know if we have any questions, but I'm trying to make this where you see how much this is costing you.
I have questions on what type of things you have to do for this test.
Oh, okay. So here's what you do. It's simple. If you decide to do the test, we can have a link or anyway, and you can go to my links. So here's what next time I'll bring a saliva kit. It's very simple. It's 4 little tubes. It's like 2 cc's. It'll take you 3 or 4 minutes to fill up the tube. All right. You make more saliva than you think. So it's 4 tubes. You collect your saliva over the course of the day, 4 times during the day. So if you haven't seen a saliva test result, the cortisol curve should be high in the morning and low at night. So you have a lot of cortisol in the morning because it's mobilizing glucose. So you have energy during the day. So it's high in the morning, low at night. So we want to see what your curve looks like. Most of the time, the curve, instead of being high in the morning or low at night, is low in the morning and high at night. So people are tired during the day because they're not mobilizing enough glucose. And then at night, they have trouble sleeping or they wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. If you can't go to sleep, it's a progesterone problem. If you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's usually a cortisol problem. So anyway, you freeze it overnight, you send it in. In 2 weeks, I get a report back, and I actually go over a video review and tell you exactly what's going on. It'll send you, I'll tell you what products you might need. And usually it's only 2, Adrenacare and SereneCalm. We don't hand out 10,000 supplements. You just need 1 or 2 supplements. We figured out when we did Taylor and D formulations that most people aren't going to take 10 supplements for a long period of time. But if you combine ingredients, you can get a more effective result by using less pills that have a combination of products instead of giving you individual things, a combination of ingredients or natural products. So anyway, that's what you would do. You send that off, and then I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. If you would like to have what we call a discovery call or become a patient, you can do that. But really, I'm trying to make this available as easy as possible. Now, the test costs $395, but if you go to the checkout, you can divide it up over 4 payments, interest-free. There's a firm there, and then you can actually use Klarna or whatever, and you can stretch it out over a year with a slight little interest payment. So we're trying our best to get this available to you. Even though your doctor may not know about it, I am trying to make it available to anybody who wants this so we can end hormone confusion. That is my goal. That's my goal, is that we end hormone confusion, and is that people understand that the way to measure hormones is through saliva, and you will not take no for an answer. Okay. And if they don't provide it for you, you need to move on. Sooner or later, you're going to get to someone who is willing to help you. And if you can't find anybody, you can go to my links, go to the Stand store, and you can purchase one there. All right.
We have another question about that.
All right, good. All right.
The question is, does the saliva change during the day? Or do
That's
you
why
get
you get,
different results?
yeah, well, that's why you do 4 samples. One, that cortisol curve is pretty set. That's why you wake up at the same time every morning. That's why you go to sleep pretty or get sleepy at the same time. That curve is set. It doesn't change. Okay. It can change. Let me tell you how that changes. If you go to California, and I'm in the Eastern time zone, I will wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning if I wake up at 7 o'clock here. If I stay out there long enough, my cortisol curve will change based on that day night cycle. So that takes time to change. Now, do hormones change over time? Yes. So what we do is that those 4 collections, they pool those and then they look at the total result. And we're not looking at the total, we're looking at the balance between estrogen and progesterone. So anyway, yeah, so it covers both of them. It covers the change. And then also hormones change based on where you are in your cycle. So you have to do that at the right time. So it's all about doing it at the right time if you want to get the right answer. And that's what I'm saying is that you have to understand these cycles so that you know when to do the test. And but still, that's not too hard either. All right. So I hope I answered that. So if we have another question, that's fine. We can answer questions and go to the break because I want people to really understand this so that they have enough information to make a decision. And that's, I want it to be a decision that you make, not a decision that I frightened you into or I forced you into, but you say, wow, this is me. I understand this. I need to do this. All right. That's what I'm trying to get you is that you have enough information that you are sold on this and you know that this is the right answer for you. All right. So another question.
Yes, the next question. If you drank the night before, how long do you have to wait before you took the test, or
Yeah.
drinking regular things during the day? So I think they want to know if you had alcohol the night before or something.
Yeah.
Would that
Let me
affect
tell you the only thing that changes this test is if you drink caffeine on the day of the test, because it's going to artificially raise your cortisol. And that's why I say this, that's why Starbucks is a multi-million, $1 billion company. And you see those long lines in the morning. I tell you that all of those people probably have low morning cortisols and they need the caffeine to fill in that energy gap. So you just think if your energy level is here and it should be here, the way you fill in that gap is through carbohydrates and caffeine. That's why people are drinking Cokes in the morning. That's why you have donuts in the morning. You're using those simple carbohydrates to fill up the energy gap. If you fix your cortisol, your cravings go away. I've seen this over and over again. You stop having to fill up the energy gap. So that's why Starbucks works. So alcohol really doesn't cause a problem. Only thing is that you can't have caffeine on the day of the test because we want to see what your baseline cortisol is. So that's the only thing you have to not do based on the test. Or if you're taking hormones, I'll give you instructions on how you're supposed to stop those a day or two before the test. So we see what your baseline hormone level is. So then we know what to actually give you. And it's not calculated. It's actually based on what your hormones are doing. All right. Any other questions? Because I know we're almost at break and then we'll go to the next half. So we have
aside from caffeine, is there any fasting before or during this test?
No. So let me tell you exactly what you'll do. All right. So first thing you wake up and I tell people, go ahead and brush your teeth to get all the crud out of your mouth. And so then 30 minutes later, you're going to collect that sample. And it's just a small tube. I don't have one sitting right here, but it doesn't take long. And you put it in the freezer. You wait approximately 4 hours later and you do it again because we want to see what your curve does over the course of the day. So at that point, we don't want you to eat 30 minutes before because we don't want any blood in it. So just think if you eat a potato chip or something and it nicks your gum, you don't even see the blood, it still causes a problem. So now you do another one 4 hours later, you just don't eat anything 30 minutes before, and then another one right before you go to bed. So we see what your curve is doing. So that's all you have to do. Don't eat anything right before just because we don't want any blood in the sample because it messes the sample up. That's all you have to do. I've had hundreds and thousands of 100 or 1,000 women that do this test. It's easy to perform. You can do it. It's no problem. And it's going to bring you clarity. And again, the test is $395. Just think, I guarantee you spent more than $395 on supplements over the last 2 months. and on the medication you might not be taking, or a copay of going back to the doctor or whatever. So, and once you do it, you know what is going on, and then you move on from there. All right. So I know it's time for a break. If we have some more questions, I'll answer those, because I want you to feel confident about doing this. All right. So let's go to break.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the ageless blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
All right, we are back. Again, thank you. I'm Dr. Taylor. I'm the hormone doctor and the spiritual MD. And right now, we're really talking about hormones. But then, hey, look, the spiritual part comes, because I'm telling you, it's hard to be spiritual. It's hard to relax. It's hard to pray. It's hard to meditate when your hormones are out of whack. Okay. And so it's costing you a deeper connection spiritually, or whatever you think. If you think there's whatever higher power you think, I feel like it gives you it makes it difficult for you to connect to anything greater than yourself. So again, this is a widespread problem, and it's a global problem. I told you this lady who we're talking about, she's been here for 4 years, but she was in Northern Africa. She said, I've been on 3 different continents trying to get my answer. And so that's what I'm telling you. This is not an American medical system problem. This is a global problem. And since I've been on social media, I began to understand that. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, that this is something that's simple to solve. You just got to understand your body. All right. So do we have any other questions?
Yes.
Okay, great.
A guy wanted to know, does this, and he said he knows you're doing the show for women today, but does this pertain to men? Can men do the saliva testing as well?
Yes. Yes. That's why I said today I'm focused on women, but yes, let me tell you, a lot of men who are on testosterone and they keep upping their dose is not a testosterone problem. It's a cortisol problem. So yours is different from progesterone and cortisol, but yours is probably testosterone and cortisol. And even though I'm talking to women, let me tell you, you need to understand this, men. All right. You need to understand this. So if you're listening to this and your wife isn't, you got to be very careful, but you ought to tell her, hey, I think this guy might help you, and send it to my YouTube channel, or tell her to follow me on TikTok. So I think men need to understand this so they can understand what their wife is going through, so that they don't take it personally when they are not feeling intimate or whatever. So yes, it pertains to men, because it may be cortisol and you may be on too much testosterone, and that's why it's not working, because they're looking in the wrong place to monitor you. So yes, if men are on hormone replacement, they need to be tested by saliva. If women are on hormone replacement, they need to be tested by saliva. And I'm going to tell you, women, if you are on hormone replacement, especially if you're on estrogen, you need to be tested properly. Okay? Because if not, you're playing Russian roulette. I'm just telling you, you are. Okay? So whether I don't care how you got on it. If you're on it, you need to be monitored appropriately, and that's not in the blood. So I can't be more forceful about that. I'm telling you, that's just science-based. It's physiology-based. You don't take unopposed estrogen because it can stimulate growth that's unchecked. And unchecked growth is the definition of cancer, pure and simple. All right? So that's why it's so important. And I'll tell you, men, if you take too much testosterone and you have fat tissue, it'll be aromatized into estrogen. that increases your clotting factors and can increase your risk of heart attack. All right. So I'm just telling you the physiologic based truth. I'm not trying to be a fear mongerer. I'm just telling you this is how your body reacts to hormones. All right. Another question?
This one's about caffeine.
Okay.
There's caffeine in lots of things. Are you only talking about coffee or tea when you're talking about caffeine for the day
No,
of the test, or all chocolates or whatever caffeine
yeah,
is in?
I would tell you to avoid anything that might have caffeine in it. It's just for 12 hours. You can't do it. I've had some people say, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can do it." If somebody says they can't function without caffeine, they've got a cortisol issue, pure and simple. I almost don't even have to do the test. It's okay to drink coffee because you like the smell of coffee or you like the aroma of coffee, or maybe it does give you a little bit of a pickup. But if you feel like you can't survive a morning without your caffeine, then you definitely have a cortisol problem. All right. So yeah. Anyway, so another question. This is
Oh, I
great.
see.
This
It was followed up by they don't know what the caffeine is in. That's why they were questioning
oh,
coffee or tea and
oh yeah,
chocolate. That's
yeah.
the only thing they know it's in.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You're not, yeah, that's the only thing you got to worry about. Really, is coffee. That's going to are these diet cokes. A lot of times, diet cokes have caffeine in it, and of course, no energy drinks, all of that. So just try and eat as clean as possible. Yeah, no energy drinks, no none of that stuff. All right. So another question.
The next question is, you said something about freezing it. Do you have to? Is it one tube? You do it, you freeze it, you do it again in the same tube, or is this different
Oh
tubes?
no, it's four different tubes. Four different tubes. They're color coded. Let me tell you, it's very simple. And if you go to my stand store, that's where I have it, or just go to my links or DM me or whatever. Uh, I have a video that tells you how to do it. I have some other videos tell you why you should do saliva testing. It goes through a little bit of the science of it. It goes step by step. There's instructions in the kit. You almost can't mess this up. Okay. So I don't want you to think that it's just me. Here's what happens. Everybody's used to going and getting their blood drawn. They know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to go there, put a tourniquet on. Somebody's going to come with a needle, and they're going to draw blood. They know it. People are worried about the unknown. Oh wow, I don't know if I can do this. I never heard of this before. Believe me, we'll walk you through it. It's simple. I've had patients. They know. Hey, look, it's time for my saliva test. They know it. All right. So don't worry, you'll figure it out. And you don't even have to figure it out. There's all types of instructions for you. All right. One more question, and then I'm going to try and finish these slides.
Okay, let's go with this one.
Okay.
I'm sorry. There's a few questions, but we'll go with this one. And ladies and gentlemen, if we have not gotten to your questions, please tune in again. Find Dr. Taylor on TikTok and all platforms.
YouTube, all of that. Hit my social media links. Yes, go ahead.
This question is involving. It's going back to the caffeine thing. If if the caffeine shouldn't be had that day, will it screw up the test, and how do you have to do it over again if it gets messed up?
No, you're not going to have to do it over again. The only reason I don't want you to have caffeine because it'll artificially raise your cortisol for that day. All right. So that's just a reaction to the caffeine. So I just don't want to see that. And then I say, oh, you're fine because you drank coffee, and you're really not fine. You're fine because you drank the coffee. So I don't want you to think that that's a big deal. Just don't drink coffee that day. I'll make it simple. Don't drink coffee that day, and don't drink a caffeinated tea, and don't drink a energy drink. Just get through that day, and then as soon as you finish that test, you can hype yourself up on coffee as much as you want. All right. So
one more question.
Okay,
I
go
want to
ahead.
squeeze
Go
in there.
ahead.
What if
Okay.
you fast until a certain time of the day, like not intentionally, but what if you don't eat or have anything other than your morning, whatever?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The only thing you got to worry about is don't drink any caffeine, or don't get exposed to too much caffeine. Other than that, there's no real restrictions. All right. So yeah, again, hey, look, if you go and click, it'll have instructions there. So I don't want you to think that this is something that you can screw up easily. It's hard for you to mess this up. It really is. That's the only restriction, and even in the instructions, that's all it's going to tell you. All right. So I'm gonna finish this real quickly. Well, we got 10 minutes, and then if there's some more questions at the end, I'll try and go through this quickly because I like the fact that you're asking questions. Thank you. That means that you're really considering this, and that's what I want to happen. All right. So why high performing women get hit so hard? Because they can function through dysfunction. Okay. Until the cost becomes too high. Women will push themselves. Okay. They feel this obligation to other people more than they do to themselves. And I see this all the time. Is that the women, they'll do all these things for their kids. And then I tell them, but what about you? And oh, well, no, I'll do that later. And later becomes 20 years later after the kids actually go to college. All right, so this shows up everywhere. Let me do this. What is going on? Okay, this shows up everywhere. So it shows up at home, like I told you, with my wife, she's fussing at the kids, she's fussing at me. It shows up in your leadership. Again, with my wife, she's like, how can I go to the office and deal with women who have anxiety and depression? And I've got anxiety and depression. It shows up in your marriage. Again, you don't feel good. Who are you going to blame? You're going to blame your spouse. Every time I feel bad, you're here. So it must be you. Okay. So you're going to feel it at work. You're going to say things to your coworkers that you probably shouldn't say. You can get up at a presentation and then you get anxious, or you start to have a hot flash, and then you get embarrassed, and then you forget your subject, and so on and so forth. Again, in parenting, we see women who feel like they are not providing everything they should for their kids. Now, some of it may be trying to be super mom, but that's just how women, they want to be there for their family. And when they're not feeling good, they're fatigued, they woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, then they still got to get the kids to their practices and to their, summer's coming up. I got to get them to camp. We got to do their homework, all of these things. And you're running almost on empty. And then you lose your confidence. You say, I can't show up at home. I can't show up at work. What is going on with me? I can't. And I have these women who are 40 years old, and they've gone through and seen all these doctors. And it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to live the rest of my life like this. If you heard my interview with Quasi, he's this transformational guy who really helped me. Well, he's a young guy, but his wife was postpartum. I'm gonna get to that. His wife was postpartum. Okay, these hormonal transitions are real. When you're pregnant, you make a lot of progesterone. Progesterone is an antidepressant, anti-anxiety hormone. So that's why you can be happy and still be 50, 60 pounds, heavier because you have this baby. Well, as soon as that placenta is removed, now that anti-anxiety and antidepressant hormone, depression hormone is gone. Now, almost every woman gets the baby blues, but some women, like this person who's 26 years old, for a year and a half, had been having these issues. All right. And then I convinced him, even though she's 26, 27, do the saliva test. She did the saliva test. We found the pattern: low progesterone, disrupted cortisol. We fixed her. So a month later, he asking me, did I drug her? No, we just corrected the pattern. Another person we talked about, very big time executive in a $1 billion company, had a baby, almost incapacitated for a year, corrected her issues, got a promotion to a senior vice president. That's what I'm talking about. If we hadn't have gotten this figured out, I don't know what her future would be. All right. So that's what I'm talking about. This is important, you guys. So the body responds to physiology, not to labels, not to anxiety, not to burnout, not to just aging. It responds to the physiology. It's going to act like that. Something. Okay. All right. So physiology, that's how your body responds. All right. So the real problem, hormones are not confusing. They are being tested wrong, and they're being ignored, and they're not being taken seriously for what they cause, or what the cost is to everyone, not just women. And you got to think, you can say what you want. Women are the backbone of the family. Okay. I'm sorry, man. They're the backbone of the family. So when mama's not happy, nobody's happy. And that could not be more true. So here's what we need to do. You need to stop guessing. Okay. And you need to start understanding. You need to demand the right test. Okay. Women, you have a voice. Okay. You just need to use it. And you need to be confident enough to go in and ask for what you want. And if you don't get it, you move on. Okay. You want to find the pattern. If you can't find a doctor, hey, go to my links. We'll send you the kit. I'll send you the results and you'll know exactly what's going on. And that's how you restore your edge. Okay. You can get back to where you were. Now, you may have to change some things. And we're talking about what I'm doing. I'm building an app now. This is what I see. I see patients who come in, we do this, we get them better. But here's what happens. They go back and they do the same things that got them into that situation because now they're feeling better. They go back and do the same thing. I'm creating an app called a metabolic blueprint. And it is a daily coaching guide to change your habits so that the things that we have accomplished, they stick. Because what I see is that they'll get better, they go back, and then 2 or 3 years later, we have to start all over again. I don't want that to happen. So I got an app as a daily, I'm making it where it has everything you need to maintain your edge, all the things you can do to decrease anxiety. I'm impressed with the app. I just got to get it just right to launch it. But I want you to follow me, go to my channels, do all this because I am doing everything. I am learning AI at a rapid pace because I want AI to be able to create or to conceptualize what I've been doing for 30 years and package it so that I can share it with the world. That is my goal. Because with AI, I can change languages. I can do all these things. So I am on a mission to end hormone confusion. And I use this phrase, I'll do it by any means necessary. That is what I'm talking about, you guys. So, all right, we got like 3 minutes left. If there's some more questions, I'll be happy to take those and, message me, DM me, do whatever you need to do. All right. So any more questions, Rebel?
Yes. Okay. So back to the fasting one.
Okay.
If you fast, does it change in blood since it doesn't change in saliva? Well, this is related to a test. Why do they make you fast for blood tests?
Oh, because they're looking. Oh, reason why they make you fast for blood tests because they're looking at your blood sugar level. So they want it to be your baseline level, not because you ate a donut 2 minutes before. Also, your lipid profile. If you eat a heavy fat meal, your cholesterol is going to be high. You just haven't had time for your body to clear out the cholesterol from the blood. So that's why. So you have to understand, you guys. When you're looking for different things, you have to do different tests and under different conditions. Okay, so yeah, that's important for blood, but it's not important for saliva because I'm not looking at glucose or anything or cholesterol or things that are found in the blood. So that's the issue. You just got to know where to look and when to look and all of that. All right. Another question.
Next question is: if you have any kind of dental work, does that change?
Yeah. Well, you know what? If you have any bleeding, you got gum issues, periodontal disease, yes, that can be an issue. We've had a couple of those where they had bleeding of the gums that they really could not control. There was blood in the sample. If there's blood in the sample, it screws everything up. So yeah. So if you have gum disease, it can be an issue. Any other questions? I hope you don't hear that background noise. We actually getting a fence put up.
Child abduction, Amber Alert. Sorry, folks.
Okay.
So sorry. It's something I can't control.
Oh, that's no problem. It's almost done anyway.
Sorry, folks. If you are in the Baton Rouge area, please pay attention to your Amber Alerts. Next question is,
okay,
how long does it take to get the results of the test?
2 weeks. Okay. So when you send it in, I should get the results in 2 weeks. I can see the website, so I can see if the test is completed. I can tell you if the test has gotten there. You send it off in a FedEx label. It goes to the lab, and the label I send you has my information on it. So the results come back to me. Then I will send you a video and an email that explains everything, and I send that back to you. If you'd like to have a one-on-one call, you can do that. So yeah, that's how all of that works. And I know we're over time now, Rebel. And a Rebel, email me and I'll take care of what we were talking about earlier. All right.
Sounds good. All right.
Okay.
Folks.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for all the questions. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discover the ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and TaylorMDFormulations.com for more information.